All right, welcome back, everybody, for another episode of Dollar Bin Digging. This is the video and article that I do for comicbookinvest.com, where I talk about those books you can still find tucked away in those cheap boxes that might be related to some of the recent announcements, news, things going on in the comics, maybe some first appearances, some cool covers, things like that. Just a kind of a scavenger hunt list of some cheap books you might still be able to find in those dollar bin and cheap boxes, depending on what your shops and places where you get your cheap comics, price their books. I mean, dollar bins are getting tougher and tougher to find these days. So it could be a $2 bin, could be a half price cover, whatever kind of discount shopping you can do. These are the books that you should be keeping an eye out for. Hopefully you're still enjoying this series as well as everything else here on the channel. Please let me know in the comment section. Like, subscribe, hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel. We are getting closer and closer to 2,000 subscribers, at which point we will be doing yet another big giveaway. We'll do some small giveaways along the way, as we have been. And yeah, just let me know what you guys are thinking. Hopefully you guys are still enjoying it. And if you want to know what books I have for you this week, just hang on for a few seconds after the intro. And make sure you check out all the other content we have here on the channel. We do have the boys doing the Mail Call Mayhem tomorrow on Friday. Maybe they'll have a special guest dropping by and joining them on their show. We have the Saturday night special premiering this Saturday, live show at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Star Wars on Sunday, as per usual. The Tack Show on Wednesday, and then all the other content that I do on the regular recorded wise. So Hidden Gems, Chasing Ghosts, and this Dollar Bin Digging. So once again, make sure you're checking out all the content here on Rennavision. This is still a lot of fun. It's exciting times with a bunch of new stuff coming your guys' way. Hopefully you're enjoying it. And like I said, just hang on for a few seconds after the intro, and I'll be right back with this week's books. All right, so let's see what we got for you guys this week. We're going to start off with our news featuring Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever, and just a little article that I was reading about the possible true villain of the film. While it seems to be Namor, there's obviously the chance, and the most likely thing to happen is he's being used by a true villain in behind the scenes. Now, the theory behind this is that maybe Atuma or even Namora could be that hand behind, the person behind the curtain, the one really steering Namor into doing the wrong thing. And that's a strong possibility. It might make a lot of sense considering Atuma is traditionally a villain in the comics. Namora, it's a little bit of a tweak, I guess, but still could be an interesting happening in the movie. Again, this is all speculation. It's not based on anything concrete or definitive, but what can we look at here? Namora goes all the way back to like the Golden Age, so you're not going to find her first appearance. Even her Silver Age first appearance is still going to be kind of tough, as well as Atuma's first appearance in Fantastic Four number 33 is obviously not going to be something you're going to find in those dollar bins. However, I talked about it before on Hidden Gems, and there is that series for Marvel. What is it? Marvel's Greatest Comics, reprinting most of the Fantastic Four original runs. So you might be able to find this reprint. I believe this was also from like the 70s. Marvel's Greatest Comics, issue number 25, reprints Fantastic Four number 33. So you're getting a reprint of Atuma's first appearance that maybe you could find this in those cheap boxes. And this does okay. I mean, it's not nearly as much as the original first appearance, but still, you can see a lot can sell for like $6. Best offers on $15. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Even when you hit what's out in the market right now, there's $5 copies. There's lots that obviously go for much more. And there's individuals that also could be, more in that $15 to $20 range, depending on condition, obviously. So depending on what you find, you might be able to make a few bucks or find yourself a nice little treat hidden in those boxes. That's, while it's in a reprint, it's still, the closest a lot of us are going to get to getting some of these first appearances. So that's one that you're going to want to keep an eye out for. And since, reprints, since we're talking reprints, why not look at this next book for Namor? Because again, you're not going to find Namor's first appearance anywhere. It's a Golden Age book, obviously, so you're not going to find that in the dollar box. But maybe you find this in a cheap box, and this is Invaders number 20. And inside this issue of Invaders number 20 it reprints Namor's first appearance. So we do get that golden age first from, what is it, Motion Picture Funnies? That is in this book. So they reprint it. So this is a nice little thing you can go and find out there as well. So when you're digging in those boxes, maybe you can find this book, which does all right. I mean, you can see copies selling for best offers on $10. There's $15 sales. There's some lots that could be closer to that $20 range that have multiple issues. This also does have an appearance of a Union Jack. I think it's the second Union Jack. But still, a book to keep an eye out for. And even on the market, you can see there's copies as cheap as $8 and it can be like $16 to $20. It's kind of all over the place. And again, it's really depending on condition because books of this time frame could be pretty beat up and pretty banged up by this point. Pages all yellowing. Some of the pages could be cracked and crumbling. Who knows? But depending on the condition, you might find yourself an interesting little book. But that's just another one. Again, reprinting Namor's first appearance. So, why not? Keep an eye out for it, right? Up next, let's go over to Ghost Rider. I mentioned this on the Tax Show during the news last night, that I'd probably be covering it during Dollar Bin Digging because you can still sometimes find this book out there. But in the most recent issue of Ghost Rider, I think it's Ghost Rider number 5, we get one of his villains back, one of his big-time Ghost Rider villains coming back, and that is Blackheart. So Blackheart returning, probably bigger and badder than ever, because that's how they do when they do comics. The villains always come back stronger and more menacing than before. But let's go back to when Blackheart first appears, not in a Ghost Rider book, but in Daredevil. Mephisto's son, Blackheart, first showed up in Daredevil number 270. Now, this book has had a ride. It's been up, it's been down, it's been up, it's been down. And right now, let's say it's kind of in the middle. Right now, you can see copies can be selling for $20 up to $50. So maybe not in the middle. Maybe it's ticking back up. Maybe there is some more renewed interest here in Blackheart. I guess we are getting more MCU horror-themed, characters and concepts coming our way. So maybe people are looking forward to seeing Blackheart on the screen or small screen, Disney Plus or something. Who knows? As you can see, copies selling for $20 to $50 right now. And on the market, they're not quite that high all the time. You can see there's $11 copies, $20 copies, $35 copies. Prices are all over. Again, there's plenty of these out there. You've been able to find these for years in those cheap boxes. Most might be picked clean, kind of like the Typhoid Mary's book, which is only a few issues. Well, I guess more like 20 issues. It was like 255. Anyway, first Typhoid Mary, also kind of in that run. But keep an eye out for first Blackheart because it's worth your time to do so. And while we're talking about Blackheart, I also want to point out, because I like the toys. I like the toys, and I like the toys that have the free comic books included. And there was a Marvel Legends Blackheart figure that did have a free comic included with it. So you see here, this was part of the Onslaught Build-A-Figure wave. What is this? The Onslaught series. So this, figure of Blackheart, you can see right behind him, there's a free comic that has that not for resale on it. And the comic that they put in there is the Ghost Rider Wolverine Punisher crossover that was like Heart of Darkness. That was like a prestige format graphic novel almost. Now, this is an edited version of the comic because, it is included with a toy. So they took out some of the more, I don't know, a non-kid friendly aspect. I think it was like a ritual with some blood or something in it that they cut out from the original just to, again, it's not for kids. So they want to include it with a toy. But this is an edited version, not for resale copy that you still might be able to find out there digging in those boxes. I love finding these things. And none have sold recently. And even this one, there's one out there that I found that was only asking for $5. So it's not an expensive book by any means, at least not right now. Who knows? It could get expensive because you know how things go. Once something becomes very hard to find, people start wanting it and then the prices start to go up. But for now, there's a copy out there. It's only $5, but I'm telling you, just keep an eye out on the cheap boxes. It's kind of a fun little thing to keep an eye out for. Granted, this is not prestige format. This is, again, the comic book, the edited comic that was included with a toy. But while we're doing this, why not let's look at the prestige format, because I do see these. Yes, this is prestige format. This does have a higher cover price, even for back in the day. I don't know, remember it was like $6 maybe. But I still find these in the cheap boxes because they printed a lot of these. I mean, these were very popular characters in the 90s. I mean, Wolverine, Punisher, Ghost Rider they were probably the top 3 during that time frame. So that's why they decided to put them together in a mini. And Blackheart is also in there, I think, as the baddie. But look, copies of this could sell for 25 cents, $3, 99 cents. Those are online sales. So even online, this is super cheap. So you could probably find this. Just a fun little read. Check this out. You can find this probably in a cheap box near you. So just keep an eye out for it, whether it be this one, the original, or that toy one. The 21's more fun because it's harder to find, but still, just for the read alone, just get this because copies online right now are more in that $6, kind of $13 range, but you occasionally could find those auctions. Like, again, you can see 25 cents. I mean, you might be able to get this for a quarter. And then you got to pay shipping, obviously, but still. Potentially super cheap book, but still one, yeah, keep an eye out for. Let's shift on over to DC real quick and see what we got going on over there. And we do have Kal-El, well, not John Kent, I believe. Superman joins forces with Harley Quinn's old team, and it's not the Suicide Squad. But in what copy was this? Issue 14? I want to say, yeah, issue 14 of Superman, Son of Kal-El. We do see he hooks up with this new squad. Now, inside this book, we see him team up with, I think, a crew that first started off with Harley back not too long ago. And I think they're called the Revolutionaries, this squad that Harley Quinn started working with, I believe, at the start of the most recent Suicide Squad run. So if you want their first appearance, you can find it in this Suicide Squad #1. I think it's from 2019, so it's only a couple of years old now. It's not that expensive a book. It's mostly cover price or less. So that's why you can probably find this one for cheap in the cheap boxes. Even copies online, $3.25 with 3 bids to get it there. Available copies are, again, $4 or $9, but that $9 is free shipping. So when you put those together, it's basically the same price. So it's cover price plus shipping. But you could probably, like I said, still find it in an overstock box at an LCS or somewhere like that for cheap because, again, it's just not a lot of going for it yet. I mean, who knows? Maybe this Revolutionaries team becomes the next big thing like Tiger Force or something over at Marvel, but or Tiger Division, I'm sorry. But who knows? Who knows, right? So take a shot. I know DC spec can be iffy these days, but if it's only cost you $1 or $2, don't, it's not a big investment. So give it a shot. Who knows, right? But that's what I got for DC right now. We're gonna move on over to video games. Actually, I'm kind of excited. I saw this trailer for the new Robocop game, and it looks pretty cool. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. It feels like the original movie as far as the vibe goes. Like you get that kind of first-person shooter. You get the vision of Robocop, like seeing things. It looks pretty cool. It's coming next year. Check out the trailer. And I don't know. I'm excited for Robocop. And while we're talking about Robocop, let's talk about Robocop's first appearance, right? Now, his first appearance is kind of pricey. It's actually in a Marvel Comics magazine, and that is this one right here. So maybe go dig through magazines. Maybe you find it in a magazine box. I mean, granted, an LCS is probably going to know what this is, but if you find this like at a yard sale or anywhere like that, anywhere else you're picking through cheap stuff, check the magazines because it is not technically a comic. It's technically a magazine. So it's a comic magazine, whatever. It's going to be oversized. Who knows? Maybe you get lucky. But this book actually does pretty well. This was from back in 1987, adapting the movie. This goes for, let's see what the price is. Sold price is $45 to like $80 on the market right now, or recent sales. And available copies are, again, in that kind of same range of $40 to $60 are a lot of the prices out there for this one. Again, condition sensitive. There might be cheaper copies that are really banged up, and then maybe a little bit more for some higher grade copies. You can get this graded, but this would be technically the first appearance. Yes, it's a magazine. It's an oversized comic, but this would be the first appearance for Robocop. But if you can't find this one, because it's got to be tough, and you do want to just look for comics, I know some people might be like, what's a magazine? It's not a comic. Fine, let's talk comics. One you might be able to dig out of a box for fun is the 1990 version. And in 1990, Robocop, Marvel Comics #1, The Future of Law Enforcement, first action-packed issue. You might be able to find this one. But then again, maybe not. Keep an eye out, but this thing can do all okay. It's not going to set the world on fire, but it's $12 to $13 easy. A lot of sales in that kind of like range, and copies on the market could be as cheap as $5. There's $9 copies. There's $15 copies. $5 to $15 really is where it's at. So maybe find it for $1 or $2. Fun little thing to dig out, right? So go find that Robocop #1 from 1990. Up next, we're going to be looking at an upcoming comic, sort of. So we know we are going to be getting Avengers BC, and then there's some story about connecting Thor to the Phoenix Force or something. I don't really know. I don't really know where this is going to go yet, but that's kind of what the connection is here. The Phoenix connection to Thor's new origin. We'll see what happens. And this is an upcoming book. I think it's probably pre-order. I think it might be coming out in a month or two. I don't know. But Avengers 1000 BC. It's a future release. Keep an eye out for it. But since we're talking about the Avengers 1 million BC, let's go back. I think we've talked about this before. At least I think I mentioned it before. Where's their first appearance? That team of Avengers, the first original OG team from 1 million BC, they first appeared in that Marvel Legacy book. Now, this heavily printed book, shops had tons of these. There's still tons of these out there. I still know places I can go find this for $1, but keep an eye out for it because it can do all right. This is the wraparound cover. It gatefold, I should say. It comes out. You can see this huge image. Pretty cool. Joe Quesada. I dig it. And there are multiple covers for this thing, so keep an eye out for any of them, really. And look here. This is what we're talking about as far as pricing goes. Copies could sell as cheap as like $2, $6, $10. And we're not talking about the incentives. These are just kind of the regular variants. I think one of those is the premier variant, or the lenticular. There's the Mark Brooks wraparound. There's different covers to this thing. And also on the market, you can see $7, $25 in some cases, depending on the cover. But I'm just saying, whatever one you can find, yeah, maybe tuck it away for a little bit. Because if the Avengers 1 million BC team does take off, regardless of how many copies could be out there, prices always go up because there's always more people at that point interested than there are copies on hand. So just another thing. If you can find it for cheap, just grab it, stash it, see what happens. That's all I'm saying. Don't pay prices online. I'm saying go dig in the cheap boxes. That's the whole point of this video and this article, is for you to go look for this stuff for $1 or $2, not market prices. Because whether you want to buy them to flip them, to make yourself a little bit of a profit, or just add to your collection for cheap, just look for these in those cheap boxes. And I think I got one more for you, just to kind of wrap us up here for this week. I know it's not a lot, kind of a light agenda, and we're kind of breezing through this kind of quickly. But up next, we do have Damage Control, which is going to get a new comic starting in like a week or two. I think it's the end of the month, August, that we're going to get the Damage Control #1. And this is just an article saying how the basically, I think it's like a Jim Halpert type that they're kind of alluding to here, as this main character, Gus, is going to be in this new comic that is coming out. I think it's the cover here for the new issue. And like I said, I think it's like August 24th or 23rd or something like that. But Damage Control, we've seen them. They've been in Ms. Marvel. They've been in the Spider-Man movies in the Marvel universe. So we've seen Damage Control. Probably going to see more of Damage Control, and we're getting a new comic. So yeah, it's worth noting. People have been flocking towards that Marvel Comics Presents. Marvel Comics Presents number 19 as the first appearance of Damage Control, and people have been buying this one up for a while now, but you might be able to still find it if you go out there looking. So keep an eye out for it, because Marvel Comics Presents, a ton of those fill those cheap boxes. So you never know. Just because it may have heated up a little bit doesn't mean that there aren't still copies out there. So just keep an eye out for it, just in case. And even so, it's not like it's setting the world on fire. We're talking about a $50 comic here. This is still only selling for about $5 to $8 right now. So just be mindful that you're not going to, retire if you do find this. It's just a fun little thing, kind of in a scavenger hunt kind of format that you can go and find. And who knows, maybe it goes up a little bit more in the future. I don't know. Copies also available online. You can buy them for $6 to $15. But like I said, I'm telling you, find it in that box for $1 or $2, not pay these $15 market prices online. But this is the book that a lot of people point to as being the first appearance of Damage Control, but it technically isn't. Granted, a lot of people are going to argue about Marvel Age. Oh, no. Marvel Ages don't count. But a few months before, that was 1989. I think it was 1988. This Marvel Age annual #4 actually had a 5-page preview. So it wasn't just like a picture or an advertisement. There was actually pages of this Damage Control comic that were previewed in here. And I think it was like 5 pages. So it is what it is. Whether you like it or not, this was their first appearance. So it's out there. And Marvel Ages, I know I've talked about a few of them. I still plan to talk about more of them. They shouldn't be overlooked just because they were preview books. Yes, a good chunk of the comic was just previews for things coming up, almost like an order form. But there were things like this. There were teases. There were preview like pages of comics inside. So don't ignore it. That's all I'm saying. And this is also not doing too bad. That's because people are aware of it. It's not secret that this has Damage Control in it, but people just kind of skip over it a lot of times because it's Marvel Age. It's still, $15 to $8, $8 to $15 are copies that have been selling. Copies available could be as cheap as $3. They could be like $12. There are some more expensive ones. These are just random examples that I grabbed. But it's just something to be mindful of. So if you're interested in Damage Control, keep an eye out for both. Whether you like the preview aspect or not, just keep an eye out for the Marvel Comics Presents 19 as well as the Marvel Age Annual number 4 because, yeah, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to look for both while you're flipping through a box because that's what we're talking about here, right? And with that, that's all I got for you this week. Hopefully you still enjoy this series and hopefully you enjoyed that and found this informative, give you some fun books to go digging for when you go hit up the shops, the flea markets, wherever you might be doing this weekend. Because I hope to maybe hit the flea market to go digging, but who knows? Who knows if the weather's going to allow it or what? But thanks again for stopping by and checking this out. I do appreciate the support. Like I said, keep telling people so we can keep growing the channel. Make sure you're checking out the live shows, especially this weekend. We got 2 new shows starting up or still, rolling out there with the Friday show. Mail Call Mayhem, as well as the Saturday Night Special, starting with their very first episode this Saturday. So if you like talking comics, pop culture, and all that kind of fun stuff, that we are not heavily into the speculation aspect of comics. We're just more into the enjoyment and appreciation of comics here at Rennavision. So come check out these shows, and hopefully you're enjoying this. And hopefully you like the break from all of the drama out there that everybody likes to argue over, because I just have no interest in that here. So with that all said, hopefully you're liking it, and let us know what you think. All right, see you guys soon with some more content. All right, later.